Spring break. After 1 week of eating and drinking in Mexico, I capped off a week of spring break with a day at the doctor, which is a perfect way to have a conversation today with Dave Asprey, the 4-time New York Times bestselling author and longevity expert on biohacking. Today on Will Cain Country. It is Will Cain Country. It's Will Cain Country YouTube channel, the Will Cain Facebook page, always available by following us at Spotify or on Apple. What's up, two-a-days? What's up, tinfoil? We're back.
Welcome
Tanner,
back.
better than ever. At least according to the
Proverbially.
doctor.
Mm-hmm. We were here the whole time, Will.
Going with a new
Waiting.
haircut I see while I was gone. Real button down there, tinfoil. Well, hard part going. Swoop
Just getting
down.
too long. Out of control.
I mean,
Interesting look. I go away for a week, come back, you're Poindexter.
Will's a different shade.
It was spring break, and I did travel to Mexico. You know, as part of that, that means I went through security. I went through TSA. I went through customs. And it all went fairly smoothly, at least from Texas to Mexico. But as I see in the news, it's not going so smoothly across America. 2-hour wait times at some airports across the country, like Atlanta, New York, JFK. And then last night, an Air Canada flight at New York's LaGuardia Airport runs into a fire truck making its way across the runway. The cone is sheared from the Air Canada flight. The 2 pilots are killed. The firefighters seem to be okay, but a massive fire truck collides with the cone of an airplane, and apparently it tears the front off the airplane. The images are pretty scary, as you can imagine, being one of those 2 pilots in the cockpit as you're just torn away from the plane. And sadly, those 2 pilots lost their life. The air traffic controller admits, quote, "I messed up." Meanwhile, in what many are calling Laken Riley 2.0, a young lady named Sheridan Gorman in Chicago on a walk on the lakefront is killed by an illegal immigrant. Walking down the pier, the illegal immigrant from Venezuela opens fire and kills young Sheridan Gorman, a college student at Loyola University in Chicago. Finally, rain is dumping in waves and sheets in feet and not inches all over Hawaii. Oahu and my beloved Maui are getting hammered. And there's incredible videos of water just running off the mountains, tearing through the towns, destroying the infrastructure. You know, less than 3 years removed from horrible fires in Lahaina, now they're dealing with floods. I learned that cycle after 4 years at Pepperdine University in Malibu, California. First come the fires, then come the floods, then come the mudslides. It's terrible. It's terrible, specifically in Oahu, but it's terrible in Hawaii. And all of this to say, it is happening while DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, remains unfunded. Democrats in the Senate and Congress are withholding funds from DHS because of their opposition to ICE. That's why TSA lines are 2 hours, 3 hours long. That's why FEMA relief funds could be held up headed to Hawaii. That's why, much like flooding in Hawaii creates a cascading effect of failing infrastructure, we're looking at a cascading effect of failing American systems. Democrats are so dedicated to ensuring that there is no deportation of illegal immigrants, or at least not by ICE, that they are willing to sacrifice, I don't know, your time when it comes to spring break, your safety on airport runways, and your relief from any type of natural disaster. It's not partisan politics. You don't want to lay every single thing at the hands of the people from whom you disagree, who have a different political party. But at some point, you have to say, you're not willing to fund the safety, the security, the convenience, the relief of Americans. Because you want to ensure people like this Venezuelan illegal immigrant in Chicago can remain on the streets and not deported in their nightmarish dreams, as you've painted the picture, by a masked ICE officer back to their home country. Sheridan Gorman doesn't want to hear about that. Americans standing across the country don't want to hear about that. And Democrats give lip service to deportations. They give lip service, just like they did to the border. They give lip service, just like they did with a comprehensive immigration bill, because they know that their position, ultimately embodied by the death of Sheridan Gorman, is inherently unpopular with the American people. And that position today needs to fall in line with every other 80-20 proposition. Secure the border. Keep men out of women's sports. Ensure that only American citizens are voting in elections. And fund DHS. All-inclusive resort, after I got through those security and customs lines, which means it's not of the highest quality, but it is of the highest quantity. Whatever that you want. Drink the rainbow, but don't drink the water. Don't drink the water, but drink the rainbow. The rainbow is every colored drink that exists at the bar that they can mix into food coloring and dye when your liquor of choice. You're down there with a bunch of high school kids, you learn what it is to drink the rainbow. I'm not saying all the parenting decisions were the wisest, but I'm just telling you exactly how it goes down in Mexico. And I don't know if people from across the country make their way to Mexico, but there's a long tradition of Texans going across the border and living their worst life. Back end of that, at the back end of 5 days, where like a jackass, I got sunburned on day 2. Came out of the gates hot, by the way, on Saturday. Came out of the gates real hot. Had to put myself to bed a little early on Saturday night. Sunday, then just laid down in a lawn chair and allowed myself with no sunscreen to get absolutely cooked. Among the jackasses and the teenagers, I was the most. I was in the running for the biggest jackass. But then my wife, who's concerned about my health at all occasions, recognizes I haven't been to the doctor, I don't know, it could be a decade, somewhere between 5 and 10 years. So she's like, you got to take a day off. So Friday, I came back on Thursday night. On Friday, I had an all-day physical at the doctor. I did a stress test, I was on the treadmill for 30 minutes with the heart monitor attached. I got an EKG. I got a calcium score. They looked for blockage. I had my blood work, my lab work, metabolic work done. I learned everything, man. I learned everything about myself and how I'm doing at age 50. And it turns out, guys, I'm gold. Not platinum, but I'm gold.
Lucky you.
0.
I mean, if we're not going to the doctor
score
for a long time and being 50 years old is pretty impressive.
Yeah, thank you. Also, by the way, I got a height and weight measurement, official one.
Oh.
Body mass index, fat percentage, and height. We've had a lot of conversations on height on this program, and we've talked about the various heights of people that walked through these doors. And we've all said Will is 6'2". Let's find out, because I've got the official measurements from the doctor. I am 6'1" 3/8".
Wow.
Which is just shy of being able to round it up to 6'2".
That's about what I thought.
But that is not the biggest height inflation that we've noticed in the past week. Major League Baseball has introduced their ABS, automatic strike zone system. Because of that, computers gauging whether it's a strike or a ball, they've had to get the height of every player. And we've got the heights. And who's been lying about their height? Because now everybody wants to tell the truth.
A lot of people.
To make the strike zone smaller. So we're going to break that truth, just like we broke the truth of my height. But on the heels of going to the doctor and learning a lot about myself, we have the perfect guest for us today to talk about being weird about your health. That means not falling into the trap of normal processed foods, low energy, little sleep, but actually not waiting for the doctor to tell you what's wrong, but doing what makes it so that you are healthy and right. It is Dave Asprey. He's a 4 times New York Times best-selling author. He's a longevity expert, creator of the biohacking movement. Bulletproof Coffee is one of his brands. And by the way, Dave is headed to Austin, Texas, headed this way, where he's going to do a conference very soon at the Fairmont in Austin, Texas. Bunch of guys, Dave, Jay Shetty, Arthur Brooks, Patrick Kennedy, and many more to talk about biohacking and, feeling weird about your health. What's up, Dave?
Well, lots of good stuff, but I'm not heading to Austin. I live in Austin, so I'm a fellow Texan.
You do? Oh, nice. Yep. Well, this conference is headed to Austin. How about that? It's going to be in Austin, all these guys.
We're doing. Yep. It's really fun to
go ahead, Dave. Tell me about it.
And hear about your calcium score and all that. And you're saying, well, you're really healthy for someone who hasn't been to the doctor in 10 years. Maybe you're healthy because you didn't go to the doctor for 10 years, given the results we're getting from our medical system.
Oh, interesting. My wife, who I think lives a healthier lifestyle than me, unfortunately has, I hope she doesn't mind me saying this, she has high cholesterol, and now they're talking to her about should she do a statin. I'm telling you, my wife eats like fish and chicken. She doesn't eat a lot of red meat. She definitely cardio exercises more than I do. So I'd love to take ownership for a bunch of smart choices. Here's the thing. They will make you feel, Dave. I sat there that day and I thought, what kind of curve am I being graded on? Because, by the way, all these things don't matter, BMI or whatever. My BMI is 24. She's like, well, 25 is officially overweight. But she wasn't criticizing me. She was telling me these things. But, I mean, I do think I think about it, Dave, a little bit, like what I eat and how I exercise.
There's a lot of things. If we just do all these things like excessive cardio, eat all sorts of weird plants that no one ever ate unless they were starving to death, and then we wonder why we're not healthy. And that's actually not how it works. Cholesterol is what your hormones are made out of, and it's protective. Your brain's made out of cholesterol. So certain types of cholesterol, like oxidized cholesterol, are bad, but the idea that you should have low cholesterol, the people who live beyond 100, they all have high cholesterol, not low. So we just have some assumptions built in, and the chicken and fish and weird veggies, there's science that says that isn't what made people strongest. You go back 100 years in Texas, you think cowboys slept 8.5 hours a night and that they didn't have a rough life and that they ate a salad with kale and chickpeas or something? No. It was like beef, butter, lard. Yeah, they had some flour, right? And they lived a hard life and they did really well. And I think that we're missing some things. We've made a diet of weakness, and we say part of a balanced diet. A balanced diet doesn't include any junk food, but they're trying to normalize it for us, and it's making everybody sick.
All right, let's talk about food in just a second. I do want to, let me walk through some, having spent the day at the doctor, what you find yourself as a curious person who talks, you end up talking about the things that everybody's talking about. And I want to hit some of these topics with you as well. Right. So what I mean by that is we're all a prisoner to our algorithm. We're all a prisoner to social media. And I feel like so let's stick with cholesterol. Okay. HDL, LDL. Everybody says, look, high LDL is no problem. High HDL is a problem. But I do see the counter narrative out there. Don't take a statin. Cholesterol is not that bad. Is it sticky? Is it getting in your arteries? Is it calcifying? All of that. So what is your thought process on cholesterol?
All right. I've gone really deep on mitochondrial biology. And I run a group called Unlimited Life, which is a concierge VIP longevity group. People spend more than $100,000 a year to work with me and a doctor with 30 years of experience and a bunch of coaches. And we do $40,000 worth of lab work on everyone. And I don't worry about high cholesterol. I worry about oxidized cholesterol. And if you're really thinking, no, my cholesterol might be causing harm, there's one lab test you can get that'll tell you if cholesterol is damaging your arteries. And it's called LP-PLA2. You can ask your doctor for it. And if you get that and it's 0, it doesn't matter what your cholesterol is if you have no damage to the lining of your arteries. And there's 2 other tests that tell you whether you're going to get a heart attack way more than cholesterol. One is called homocysteine, and another one is called C-reactive protein. And for 15 years, I've been teaching people, get those 3 numbers. And if those are low, you're in good shape.
Is that so? When I went, Dave, and this is a lot of my buddies talked about the Widowmaker, this idea that you have a certain amount of blockage based upon sticky, cholesterol, sticky, plaque, that adds up to a calcium score, right? And like I said, I came back at a 0. Is that part of one of these tests you're talking about? Do you care about a calcium score?
I do care about a calcium score. What a calcium score does, it tells you how much plaque do you have that has calcium stabilizing it. It turns out stabilized plaque is much less dangerous than soft plaque, and a calcium score doesn't tell you that. You need a test called Clearly to see that one. But you can get an idea of that from those 3 numbers I talked about, and you can get a test with any functional medicine or longevity doctor. And we've been talking about this for 20 years. If you say, I'm going to take a statin, what you're doing is you're saying, oh, something's on fire, let me turn off the smoke. But the fire is still going. And what the statins do is they cause your body to run out of coenzyme Q10, so your mitochondria start making less energy, so you're tired, you get muscle pain, and they're not associated with longevity. So statins are not a great idea. What you want to do is clean up your diet and start measuring the actual sources of inflammation. That cholesterol thing, we just look at that because 80 years ago, it was easy to see cholesterol when you spun blood down. It was a yellow layer. So they just focused on this. There's abundant evidence that it's not a great marker for heart disease. And it makes a lot of people really mad in the medical industry, except I've lectured to thousands of doctors about this, and they're nodding their heads because they're longevity and functional doctors. So we've got the people who are a little bit rebellious, who realized their patients were getting well. They did additional studies outside of med school. And this is, licensed medical stuff. And all of a sudden they're saying, wait, this is what works. And that's one reason that at the Biohacking conference here in May, we're offering continuing medical education credits for doctors who come in, even though it's a conference for people to come in and figure out, how do I change my biology? How do I change my state to be happier, to live longer, and just to be more conscious? So how the heck would that be tied in with longevity? Well, it turns out the best doctors, they care about whether you're happy. They care about whether you have community. They care about what you eat. Oh, and maybe you need some drugs, but the drugs come last, not first. You go to the normal doctor, drugs, drugs, drugs all day long. And it's no wonder we don't get results.
What you said, clean up your diet. What about this? I often hear this. Well, it's all genetic. And I kind of alluded to that with the differences between me and my wife. I mean, even on the processed foods, like if it's not the red meat, when you say clean up your diet, I'm going to assume you're talking about processed foods. You know what? I probably eat a lot more processed foods than my wife. So how much of this is solvable? How much of it is genetic?
I'm going to argue that it's all solvable and a lot of it's genetic. And we do an advanced screen at Unlimited Life for genetics. And about 20% of our members have something called APO4 versus APO3. And if you have APO4, which is a mutation, you have a much, much higher chance of getting heart disease and Alzheimer's. So for those people, we manage it aggressively. And for everyone else, they have more flexibility. So genetics matters, but something called epigenetics matters more. And this is, how do you use your environment? The color of the light, the time you go to bed, the temperature of the air, the type of food you eat, your social connection, everything in your environment. How do you use that to turn your genes on or off? As long as you have a gene, it's not set in stone. It's, can I switch it? And the environment switches it. And unfortunately, we've kind of trashed our food environment. Our indoor environments aren't good. We're telling people to take things that aren't healthy for them, like these artificial colors, all these processed foods, the seed oils. And it's no wonder that that's flipping our genetic switches to cause higher risk. And so if you set up your environment right, all of a sudden you have a ton more energy, and then you get better sleep. And everything in your life starts to line up in a better way, because when you have more energy, you are more present. It also means you make more conscious, better decisions. And that could even go for, well, do I take the time to think about this policy, or do I just say, oh, that poor person, let me just screw up my country because I didn't have a chance to think about it. I just felt about it because I was too tired to think. And that's what's going on in America right now.
Right.
A lot of people, our brains are cooked because of the way we set up our schools, our workplaces, and our diets.
Well, go back to the light thing. That was fascinating to me. You said our light. Like what kind of light? I'm sure it varies according to the situation. Just tell me more about how light impacts energy and health.
This is such a big thing. So we have this environmental movement that's willing to sacrifice human wellness in the name of reducing carbon. And unfortunately, these LED lights that are energy efficient, they are actively toxic to your mitochondria. So I'm wearing these glasses. These block a certain part of the blue light. These are called True Dark glasses. And yeah, it's a brand that I make and I wear them all the time. That's why people probably recognize me. And I wear them indoors because indoor lighting today has none of the good parts of light and it has all of the bad parts. And a lot of the blue light is causing macular degeneration. People don't know it, but LED lights are more associated with melanoma than the sunburn you got in Mexico. So indoor lighting is bad. You can have junk light and you can have natural spectrum light. So my house, it's all incandescent or halogen, and it changes the way you feel, it changes the way you sleep, and it makes your skin healthier and your eyes healthier.
Where are you on sunglasses? Like I told you I'm going to hit some of these things everybody talks about. You know, there's this idea you shouldn't wear sunglasses outside.
Never. The reason you don't wear sunglasses, it makes a lot of sense. So your eyes are sensing what kind of light is there? Is there ultraviolet B in the light? Ultraviolet B is necessary for your eyes and for your skin. Too much of it's bad. But if you block it in your eyes, then of course your brain isn't going to tell your skin to protect itself. So the eyes tell the body, here's what to do in this environment. So these glasses that tell your brain it's dark outside and your skin says it's light outside, your skin won't protect itself. So you're less likely to get a bad sunburn if you don't have sunglasses on, because at least your body has a warning sign. So you need to be able to sense it and then react. And if you cut off your senses, you're telling your body you're in a darker environment when you're not.
Okay, where are you on sunscreen?
Sunscreen is one of the biggest scams on the planet. It increases your risk of skin cancer because of the ingredients in it. It goes into your blood almost instantly when you put it on, and it's about a $28 billion industry. So it's no wonder they're going to tell you ultraviolet light, oh no, it's going to kill you. Studies show exposure to ultraviolet light means you're less likely to be nearsighted. So being indoors all the time, covering your skin needs this. Ultraviolet light actually reduces wrinkles in your skin when you get a moderate dose. Sunburns are bad for you. You shouldn't do what you did in Mexico. But sun exposure is necessary for healthy skin, healthy mitochondria, healthy brain, healthy mitochondria. And getting sunlight in the morning makes you sleep better at night. And when you coat your skin in sunscreen, you're not doing yourself any favors, except you can use mineral sunscreen that doesn't have any bad stuff in it. You want to put that on, you want to put that on your face? Go for it. If you're worried about wrinkles, just don't put it on all the time. So if I'm in Mexico, I'm going to put some mineral sunscreen on my face, maybe the back of my hands. And if I start getting pink, I'll put on a shirt. And that's that.
So you'll cover up or get out of the sun instead of staying in the sun and wearing sunscreen.
Exactly. And let's face it, if I'm surfing, I'm going to put on sunscreen, but it's going to be a mineral sunscreen that's going to wash off after an hour or two and you put it back on, just like the chemical stuff. But the chemical stuff really is disruptive. If you look at the ingredients and you just go to any AI and you say, what are the negative side effects? You'll be shocked. So yeah, you can use it for extreme situations, skiing, surfing all day in the sun, but nothing like a hat and a shirt and no sunglasses to change how your body responds.
Let's go back to first premises for a moment. So you used the word longevity, and that's what you focus on. Like, what are we talking about when it comes to longevity? Are we talking about significant? Are we talking? I'm sure you're going to say both, but the quality of life longer, but also the length of life. Are we talking about human beings? What are we at right now? Are we probably 78, like an average lifespan for an American?
For an American, that's about right. The Japanese are up there in the mid 80s, and that's average. But our current best is about 122, and my goal is at least 180. And if someone on the planet can do 122, I just want us to be able to do 50% better. We get 100 years to work on that, and we've got AI and big data and more access to tools and peptides. I've done 4 kinds of gene therapy already for longevity. So what we're talking about is the kind of cowards like, oh, we want to do health span. We just want you to be healthy until you die at the age of 78. I'm like, that is an insult to humanity. We want you to be healthy until you die at the age you choose. So the people in my longevity practice, we're looking at adding 10, 20, 30 years to people's lives. And it's possible. And we actually have 600 data points we're putting together. Well, here's how long you're likely to live based on your genetics, your biology, your current state, and your current practice. Let's change what you do and let's extend your life. And this is actually possible today. This is what longevity doctors actually do. But many doctors are afraid to say, we are looking to extend human life. But that's what we all want, and that's what we're doing.
Okay, let me see if I heard you correctly. You feel like right now, Dave, you could take a patient and extend that patient. Let's say it's me, okay? I'm 50. Do you think you could work with me in whatever it is you do, diet, all the different changes, everything, and you could change my lifespan by 10, 20 years?
Yes.
Today, we could put that plan in place?
Oh, absolutely. That's what we do.
Really?
Like, yeah.
Yeah. And then you're saying though within 100 years, you think we will have people as society. Maybe you'll be around in 100 years, Dave. I don't know. We'll have people living to 180 in 100 years.
Yes, absolutely. Unless a comet hits the planet or there's some sort of very weird black swan event that's affecting our whole species, like some kind of plague or something made in Wuhan or somewhere. I don't know. But here's why. We've already extended human life by about 6.5 years in the US. You ever see the show Golden Girls?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they were in their mid-50s. They were not in their 70s or 80s. And back in the 90s,
videos sometimes, like Wilford Brimley in like Cocoon was my age. Or younger, maybe, 48.
Exactly. Right. So we have this idea that aging is wheelchairs and tubes and diapers and not knowing your name, but that's actually not what healthy aging looks like. I used to weigh 300 pounds when I was in my mid-20s, and nothing worked. I had brain fog, arthritis, chronic fatigue, just everything wrong. Yet I was a successful tech entrepreneur. And so I started hanging out with people in their 70s and 80s at the first longevity nonprofit in Palo Alto. And eventually they asked me to run the nonprofit. There was no one there who was under 50 except for me. And what I learned was that there are 80-year-olds who are vibrant and had more energy than I did at the time. And we can do this. It just takes knowing what to do and then actually doing it. And that's what inspired me to create the biohacking movement. That's why I'm around 7% body fat right now. I'm never hungry. My exercise is 20 minutes a week using AI, and I'm ripped. And it's completely ridiculous that this is possible, but everyone isn't doing it. And we don't do it because we don't think it's possible. And even back in the...
You just exercise 20 minutes a week? That's all you exercise?
Yeah. I'm not saying I don't go for a walk, but that's all. That's all I do. I mean, I'm wearing a shirt. You can't really
walk?
Yeah, I'll go for a walk. I'll move around a little bit, but literally, why do I do that? Because if you do a spin class, spandex shorts and someone yelling at you in the front, it's shame-based. I got to stand up on the bike because everyone else is standing up. That, if you do 5 hours a week of just sweaty hell, you'll improve by 2% after a couple of months of intense training. You come to my facilities, and we do something called, it's called the AI bike. And 5 minutes, 3 times a week. So 15 minutes a week versus 5 hours will give you a 12% improvement. So the amount of time you spend brushing your teeth every week is all the cardio you need if you do it exactly the right way. So why would I spend 5 hours exercising when I could do 15 minutes? And to put on muscle, I could pick up a kettlebell, which is the same as picking up a rock from 500 years ago, or I could fight an AI computer that's watching me on a camera and measuring everything I do. So I'm completely fully at my failure point the entire time I'm doing a curl. So I blow my muscles out really quickly, and then I'm done in 5 or 10 minutes, and then my body recovers. So most of us, we think more training equals more results. It doesn't. It's stimulating the body a little bit and then more recovery so the body will actually put on muscle. And in the case of your wife, who sounds like she's doing a lot of cardio, well, if you train your body to believe that you're being hunted and that you didn't get away because you did one interval, then another, then another, then another, an hour later, the body's like, why would I ever recover? I'm being hunted right now. So cardio is important. Excessive cardio is actually bad for longevity and it's bad for aging. So you want to have good VO2 max, but you don't want to be running all the time because the body doesn't like that.
So a minute ago, I heard you say, cowboys didn't sleep 8 hours a night. So are you also not big on, like, as I listen to you, and okay, cut out processed foods, exercise to the point of failure, but it doesn't take so long to get to the point of failure from exercise building,
Yep.
and recover. But then, am I hearing you incorrectly? Like, you actually don't think we need as much sleep as we get or want to get?
We've all heard 8 hours, right?
Yeah.
There's 3 studies of over 1 million people over multiple years questioning whether that's true. And here's the reality. The people who need 6.5 hours of sleep a night are the people who live the longest. If you require 8 hours to fully recover every night, your chances of dying from all causes are much higher than the guy who only needs 6.5 hours. And this isn't to say that you should restrict your sleep. That's a bad idea. Healthy people need less sleep. Who would have thought? But if you go
So
and
to
you
get
work
healthy,
out really
then you
hard,
need less sleep.
yeah. So eat right, don't overtrain, and magically you need less sleep. And with all the books I've written, people have lost millions and millions of pounds. And they routinely report, I need an hour less sleep. What's going on? Well, what's going on is you got your energy back. Your metabolism is working again. You're healthier. So your body says, I'm fully recovered. Time to wake up. If you get an hour back every day, imagine what you could do.
What about alcohol? I mean, I wear a Whoop. I don't have it on right now because the battery died. I can see my recovery on whatever Whoop measures when I have one drink. Where are you on alcohol?
I will drink alcohol if it's older than me. That's my rule. In other words, I can't afford to drink under those rules more than once or twice a year. So I just don't drink, as is the basic way to put it. The reason is exactly what you said. One drink ruins your sleep. Anyone who has a sleep tracker will know this, but it gets more interesting. Alcohol is also heavily associated with getting cancer and with aging your tissues. So alcohol makes you old via known mechanisms. And if I was going to drink, I would use the protocol I published more than 10 years ago. You just go to daveasprey.com and alcohol, and it'll be there. And you can take things to help your liver process the alcohol better. And that means you take less of a hit. But bottom line is, if you need a glass of wine to go to sleep, you should get some supplements that do the same thing and don't make you older every night and ruin the quality of your sleep. So I'd rather have 5 hours of epic sleep than 8 hours of crappy sleep.
Right. So we see the studies, I see the stats. We know that THC use is on the rise. THC is delivered in any kind of mechanism that you want at this point. You can drink it, you can eat it, you can smoke it, you can do whatever. Where are you on THC?
Well, I'm glad that it's legal because I don't think the government has a right to tell us what we're allowed to put in our bodies. But the data is pretty clear on THC. Smoking it or smoking anything is bad for you, but THC is estrogenic. So if you like man boobs, lack of motivation, and from the Amen clinics, Dr. Amen is a world famous author and psychiatrist who's studied more than 1 million brains. He will show you hundreds of thousands of scans of cannabis users' brains, and there's holes in their brains metabolically. And I'm on the board of Amen clinics, know them very well. This is real data. So bottom line is THC, it might be useful for you recreationally on rare occasions, but if you need that to go to sleep, you're probably doing it wrong. And there are a subset of people with weird seizure disorders where it's life-changing, and I just recognize that. That's why we can't ban something, because if it helps one person, we shouldn't be able to ban it. We just tell everyone else, hey, it may not be for you. But would I rather see people on THC and alcohol? THC is less harmful than alcohol, but psychedelic mushrooms are less harmful than THC. So why are some of these legal and some of these illegal? It makes no sense whatsoever. They should just tax them all.
Okay, I want to, like I said to you at the beginning, I want to ask you about a lot of things I feel like everybody's talking about. So let's just keep going. These are a curiosity to me. Let's go back to diet for a minute.
Sure.
So, I was in pretty good shape a year ago, and there's no better motivator, at least for me, than vanity. I do this open water swim. I do it on Fox. I'll have my shirt off, so what I was doing was, and I do try to do this pretty consistently, but again, when you're going to be on TV with your shirt off, then you start really counting. High protein, low calorie. That's what I would try to get. I tried to get anywhere from 150 to 170 grams of protein, basically a gram or so per pound, and then try to stay under 2,000, 2,200 calories. I will say at the doctor, she thought that was way too high. She thought that there was some protein leakage in my kidneys. That's probably from the quantity of protein that you are consuming. So everybody knows at this point, don't eat processed foods. Whether or not we do it or not, I think we all know the Cheetos and the chimichanga, not great. But where are you on that macronutrient thing of high protein, low calorie?
The easiest thing you can do before you try Ozempic or one of those things, just take 1 gram of animal protein per pound of body weight, and beef is better than chicken or fish for that. I eat a pound of ribeye every day. I weigh about 200 pounds. I eat 200 grams, not 200 grams of ribeye, 200 grams of protein, which is closer to, about 500 grams of.
What's your calorie intake?
My calorie intake is probably 2,900 a day. And I can show you my abs.
Okay, so you're way up there.
Oh yeah, my last book cover, the shirt off sort of thing, I didn't prep for it. I got off an airplane with no fasting, no anything, and I shot it, and I look like I play water polo, and I don't. So calories are not a bad thing, because calories just measure energy. If your body can use energy, you'll be great. And get this, I'm not even low carb. I just eat carbs that don't cause inflammation. So I eat white rice, I eat honey, I eat fruit, and I eat steak, and I eat butter. And I eat some olive oil, and I eat some veggies, but not a ton, and not the weird ones. Not we'll call them the hippie vegetables that became popular in the 70s and 80s from the California marketing of you eat the rainbow. Your ancestors didn't eat the rainbow. The rainbow doesn't grow all the time. They ate whatever was there, which is usually a couple different veggies that are in season. And they only ate those if there was no meat.
What are the weird ones?
What are the weird ones? Kale is very weird. At Pizza Hut, they put it around the salad, not in the salad, until the Kale Marketing Association spent $6 million convincing us that kale was somehow good for us. Kale accumulates toxic metals more than almost any other plant we eat, especially one called thallium. And it has a really big problem called oxalate. And I've been writing a lot on my blog lately about removing this toxic plant compound from your diet. So our grandparents, they were a little suspicious of broccoli and cauliflower, but you might get them to eat it. Otherwise, they had a little bit of coleslaw, they had some potatoes, some rice, and they had a piece of meat, and that's what they ate. And it seemed to work really well. The reason we eat white rice instead of brown rice is that brown rice is covered in all the plant defense compounds. The reason whole wheat is stupid is that the brown part of the wheat has a ton of this oxalate compound in it. That oxalate compound goes into your body, finds calcium, and forms microscopic razor-sharp crystals that cause 70% of kidney stones, and they cause problems with your skin, problems with your joint, gout. It's incredible what happens when you don't eat the brown grains. If you're going to have carbs, have the white flour, have the white rice. There's a reason that the kings and queens and royalty ate the white stuff and they fed the brown stuff to the peasants. It's because the brown stuff has more calories and more toxins, but they didn't care about the peasant's health. And it's the same thing big foods do.
But you don't mean like Wonder Bread. You don't mean like Wonder Bread, like processed
I would
white.
rather
you
eat
mean like,
Wonder Bread. Yeah, I'd eat Wonder Bread before I'd eat some kind of Wonder Bread brown whole wheat equivalent, but I'm not going to eat either one of those. I don't think American gluten is edible anymore because of all the glyphosate we spray on it. But when I'm in France, yeah, I'm going to eat some croissants, but not, they would make them with brown whole wheat flour because they're not dumb. It's like they say, what's the French paradox?
You harken back to like what people used to do several times. Like you said, cowboys, you said kings, but okay, but aren't our lifespans a lot longer, despite the fact that we have started eating the way we have? And I'm not defending current diets. I think that, but is going backwards to those diets? Like our lives are longer now. Isn't there something to be said for our health compared to what's that?
This is a great question. And the number one answer to that is just public health hygiene. Cleaning up our water so we don't die of parasites. Making sure that we don't have things like mercury in our food, which was very common back then, is a really good idea. So most of these big diseases, even things like polio, polio went away 5 years before the polio vaccine came out, and it's because of public health measures. So having clean water is really, really important if you want to increase human lifespan, right? And so what we've been doing is we've been replacing the things that kill us because we get an infection. Things like antibiotics will extend human life. If you were going to die of, a splinter in your finger, which used to kill people if you got the wrong bacteria, it doesn't kill you anymore. So we've solved the acute, important, go to the hospital now stuff, and we're really good at that. And that's what hospitals are for. But we replaced it with this chronic malaise where we just feel bad all the time and our brains are foggy and our joints hurt. We have diabetes, right? And we have Alzheimer's and we have heart disease. Those weren't the problems back then because the bacteria would get us first. But what we've replaced it with is kind of this half awake, feeling like crap all the time state. And hospitals don't even understand that. Doctors get an hour of education. At least they did until Bobby Kennedy came in. He just announced that all doctors are getting 200 hours of nutrition training now. Just a big announcement with Maha. And that's going to change the world because up till this date, unless they're an open-minded doctor, they are taught in medical school that food doesn't affect health. And we all know that's complete garbage, but that's what they're taught. And they have a white lab coat and they're certified and they have a prescription pad. So we tend to believe them even though they're not trained.
Okay, I want to ask you about two other things. One of them is personal in that I know where you stand on this. So nicotine, okay. I am, and the audience knows it, I am a very active user of nicotine in the pouches. Okay, I'm addicted. I don't have, I mean, that's the truth. I don't like being addicted to something, but I'm not an, I'm a curious person that researches a lot. So I can rattle off stuff about, slight increase of high blood pressure. Of course, I know the stuff about focus. I also know that people say this, next to heroin, it's the most addictive drug out there, which I've never done heroin, but yeah, it's the most addictive thing that I've ever touched, But so I talked to the doctor a lot about it, and I just said, do you see anything? I want to know anything that's showing up in my charts at all that could be attributable to nicotine. And really they don't, but I also feel like we're at the front end of this. Like, what are we going to find out about these pouches in 5 to 10 years?
All right. I've gone really deep on this. And going back about 15 years, I discovered a doctor at Vanderbilt who published a paper in 1986 showing that nicotine, not smoking, but pharmaceutical nicotine, like is in those pouches, reduces Alzheimer's and Parkinson's risk. But unfortunately, smoking increases cancer, so you don't want to do that. So I am not a fan of smoking. I've never smoked. So back then I started taking 1 milligram a day, and I wrote about this in my New York Times bestselling longevity book, saying, guys, if you're 40, there's a clear case for low dose nicotine because it's going to stop you, or at least reduce the odds of you getting Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. And those take out a lot of us if we're going to be really, really old, because you don't want to be old and not know your name and be shaken a lot, of course. So since nicotine is one of the most studied cognitive enhancers that we have, so you get a brain that works better and you get less risk of this. But what we also know is that it's one of the strongest mitochondrial uncouplers there is. And what? Well, what that means is it makes it easier for your cells to make heat and power for your body. So yes, low dose pharmaceutical nicotine, like in pouches and gums and patches, all those things, it is good for you. And I've been using it for 15 years. There is an upper limit though. And if you're under
What
10
is that?
milligrams,
How about 64? How about 64 milligrams a day?
it might be a little high. If you do under 10 per day, you're much, much less likely to get addicted. And it's the same amount of addiction as coffee. It's a 3-day washout period. But if you start going above 10 regularly, then you get physiological addiction. And there may be some psychological as well. It's the physiological though. If you're at 64 and you go cold turkey, you will have a dysfunctional brain, you'll have muscle tension around your body, and it totally sucks, which is why you ramp down if you're doing high doses. And here's the downside for some people of high doses. The blood pressure increase for most people isn't a big deal because it's nominal. But some people experience hair loss, because nicotine shrinks the microcapillaries enough that you might not get enough blood to the head. There's easy ways to counteract that if that starts happening. And a small number of people get erectile dysfunction from large doses of nicotine. So if you're not experiencing either one of those.
Well, it's a vasoconstrictor, right?
Right.
It's a vasoconstrictor. I just saw an Instagram reel of this doctor, my wife sent it to me, saying it can lead to degenerative spine because you're not getting the blood necessary, because it's a vasoconstrictor, to rehabilitate any type of small injury. Any type of small injury that happens doesn't get healed the way it should because you're constricting your blood delivery all the time with this nicotine.
I really question that. I've seen that interview. It's the only person talking about that who's not a biochemist, but is a surgeon of spines, and definitely got a lot of clicks. Here's why. Nicotine increases something called angiogenesis. This is the growth of new capillaries, new blood vessels throughout the body. And you need those. It's actually beneficial as you age to be able to grow new blood vessels. So yes, there is vasoconstriction, but that causes you to grow more paths to deliver nutrients to cells. So I'm a huge fan of 10, maybe 20. I think you might be a little high at 64, but I know people who do really well on that dose. And yeah, it's addictive, but so is exercise. If you don't do it, you don't feel as good. So is drinking water. So some things are worth it. And I mean, God knows coffee is the other one. If you were to look at the two most studied, most impactful on the evolution of society, well, it's been coffee, it's been nicotine. I keep doing this because I have a caffeine tattoo right here on my bicep. You just can't see it because I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt. So caffeine is well studied, coffee is well studied, and so is nicotine. You go back to World War II, we had entire supply lines set up to make sure that our troops had nicotine and they had coffee. We were roasting coffee on the front lines during World War II because it's that important for people. Same with nicotine. All great books, including mine, are written on caffeine and nicotine. That's just how it works. So we're not dumb. And the fact that we like to use these things, it's because they have a lot of benefits when you deliver them in the right way. And speaking of coffee.
Okay, last two things. Go ahead. Yeah.
My new brand, post Bulletproof, is called Danger Coffee. And it's called Danger because who knows what you might do. And it's called Danger. So the next time some weird person with a mask tries to approach you and put it on your face and say it's for your own safety, I say, no thanks, I choose Danger. Like, I do not want someone to tell me to do things for my own safety. I'm going to drink my Danger coffee and be happy with it.
Yeah. Well, the mask, the dirty little secrets, they're not worried about your own self. They use it as a weapon to control you because you're endangering their health. So you choose Danger. Oh, you're hurting me. Really
Gross.
quickly, I want to ask you about two other things before we go.
Yep.
Peptides. I know this is a big category, and it's one that I know nothing about. All I know is that my teenage sons now talk about peptides. So that tells me this is a gigantic trend.
I've been using them for past 16 years now, and they're incredibly powerful. And today we have about 500 different peptides out there, and they feel kind of edgy because you have to inject most of them. And I would just say, be careful. These are very powerful. And as for teenagers, most of them I probably wouldn't want to use. But there are things like GHK that allow your skin to be healthier, your connective tissue to be healthier. BPC helps you heal really rapidly from injuries. And in the longevity group that I work with, we use peptides all the time for longevity, but I think it's a bad idea to go buy a dozen of them and just start sticking yourself with needles. At least work with an AI that's competent to help you come up with the right order of peptides. But if you were to go spend a couple $100 on something to improve your health, spend it on ribeye first, or at least ground beef. And after your diet's cleaned up, take your supplements. Things like vitamin D, minerals 101, fat soluble things, getting enough minerals. And after that, go for the peptides. Pick the 3 that seem most interesting and try them. And if they rock your world, do it. If you'd have had one of my favorites, which is called melanotan, you inject a little bit of this stuff and then you get a tan in one day. So I don't get sunburned because I inject this stuff and I get a nice dark tan and almost no exposure to sun. Then I go in the sun, I have a protective tan. And the side effect of melanotan is it makes you really, really horny. So, oh no, I got sunshine and I felt like I was 22 again for a day. And then I'm protected.
Googling melanotan. Let me write that down. Okay, last thing. On the GLP-1s.
Yes.
I live in Dallas, so let Dallas live up to its reputation. But I bet it's not just Dallas. I think that everybody is like it's all over at this point. And the question for the GLP-1 world will be, what does this look like in 5, 10, 20 years, right? What is the long-term effect of these GLP-1 uses? So what do you think about Ozempic, Wegovy, everything?
As a former fat person, 300 pounds, lost 100 of it using the stuff I read about, being fat sucks and it's dangerous. So by any means necessary, get rid of that because it reduces your risk. And I'm a huge supporter of GLP-1s. I would just propose that you do what we just talked about. Eat your 1 gram of protein, even if you don't want to, per pound of body weight. If you do that and you pick up some heavy stuff twice a week, you will lose weight quickly and reliably and not lose your muscles and not lose your bone density. So 5, 10, 15 years from now, there's going to be one group of people who laid on a couch and ate nachos on GLP-1s, and they're going to hate their lives. And the rest of us will be microdosing GLP-1s because they're longevity drugs at low doses and they're weight loss drugs at high doses. So I'm incredibly excited at the category. I've used 1 injection of Ozempic when it first came on the market for weight loss, just to do a podcast on it. And I tried microdosing one of the other GLP-1s, but it just makes me nauseous all the time. So I don't do it, but I wish I could. And most of the longevity physicians I work with are on microdoses of GLP-1s to live longer, reduce Alzheimer's and other risks.
All right. What a fascinating conversation. Dave Asprey, he lives in Austin, but the Beyond Biohacking Conference will be there on May 27th through 29th at the Fairmont in Austin, Texas. And you can check out any of his number of books or coffee, Danger Coffee, Bulletproof, all of these things. We really appreciate you spending time with us today, Dave. It's been a fascinating conversation.
Well, it was a lot of fun.
All right. Well, I hope to talk to you again. Dave Asprey there on Will Cain Country. Okay, coming up, I got a lot of comments from you guys from the Willisha. Plus, let's reveal the heights, not just mine, but let's reveal the heights of everybody who's been lying when we come back on Will Cain Country. Every single day, thousands of women hear the same devastating lie, that abortion is their only option, that they're alone, that there's no hope. But everything changes the moment a mother in crisis walks into a preborn network clinic and sees her baby on an ultrasound. That one moment doubles her chance of choosing life. Because it's not just an image on a screen, it's hearing her baby's heartbeat, maybe for the very first time. And in that moment, she realizes the life growing inside her is not a problem to be solved. It's a life to be protected. Let's be there for her in that beautiful moment with love, prayer, and support. One preborn partner put it this way: knowing my gift could save a life was the most meaningful act of love I could give. So for just $28, you can partner with my friends at Preborn and provide 1 life-saving ultrasound. $140 provides 5 ultrasounds. That's 5 chances for life. This year, let's make it the biggest baby-saving year in history. Take a stand. Be bold. Speak for those who can't speak for themselves. Call pound 250 and say baby. That's pound 250 and say baby. Or visit preborn.com/freedom. That's preborn.com/freedom. More on spring break, your comments, and the true height of Major League Baseball players when we come back on Will Cain Country.
The world of business moves fast. Stay on top of it with the Fox Business Rundown every Monday and Friday. Fox Business reporters, anchors, and hosts will bring you beneath the stock market speculation and boardroom drama to tell you about the biggest business stories of today. Whether you're on Main Street or Wall Street, Fox Business is invested in you.
Listen to the Fox Business Rundown every Monday and Friday at foxbusinesspodcasts.com or wherever you download your favorite podcasts. Every leader is united by one thing. They're all talking to America's anchor, Brett Baer.
Ukraine wants peace.
How do you get to a deal?
When the world is watching, Brett Baer has the interviews that matter most.
What does that look like in your mind?
It's not for me to negotiate a deal for Ukraine, but I can certainly set the table.
Brett Baer is America's anchor. Watch Special Report weeknights at 6 p.m. Eastern, only on Fox News Channel. From around the world,
Trey Yingst, joining us from Tel Aviv, Israel.
To Washington.
I'm Mike Emanuel.
To your own backyard. If a story impacts you or your wallet, we're on it. It's the Fox News Rundown. We give every story the deeper look it deserves with must-listen interviews and smart analysis from the voices you can trust. Start your day with the Fox News Rundown. Listen and follow now at foxnewsrundown.com or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
And then there was one helmet on the table. It's all had meaning. I don't know if you noticed throughout the program, but it went down to 3. It was TCU in Georgia and Texas. Then it was 2. It was TCU in Texas.
Wow. Okay.
Now it's just Texas. And it's not a reference to Texas making the Sweet 16, which was awesome. Texas, going from the first 4 in, has already made its way to Sweet 16. But I got a Longhorn. Officially, I got a Longhorn. One son headed off to Austin next year.
You proud?
I'm pretty excited about. That means I get to go to Austin. No offense, I just didn't want to travel to Athens. Okay, I was like, I can't get to Athens that easily. What a nice 3-hour drive to Austin. Yeah, for sure, Patrick. There's going to be some weekends I got to be down there, and I got to be there before. Yeah, I think we should definitely do some shows on the road. What if we had like a pregame show?
Yeah.
Like a Saturday morning pregame show?
Heck yeah.
That would be awesome.
I won't wear any Texas gear, but I'll go.
I've actually had that in my kind of want to list, like a Saturday football show. On the other hand, I don't want to work. So we got to balance that. I don't want to work on Saturday mornings. But a Saturday morning pregame show would be pretty awesome in the fall.
Oh, come on. You have the experience.
Once a month.
If anybody can do a Saturday morning show, it's you.
Yeah, but that's when I wasn't doing a TV show Monday through Friday. Will and Pete live from DKR
Secretary
Stadium
of War
in
and
Austin,
Will.
Texas. I think he's graduated beyond that.
Might be
Looks
busy.
down on the snow.
Over on Facebook, Danny V says LAX this morning was a breeze, faster than usual. And Sherry Bine says, went through Atlanta this morning, no problem. Lots of police presence in Fort Myers Airport. So maybe airport's a little bit better starting today. Cindy Marie says, pretty simple. Republicans refuse to fund TSA. And Maureen O'Connell says the same. Republicans have the ability to put TSA back to work. It's so crazy. Like, this is, I'm trying to think of a good analogy on how you play this game. But, like, let's see. Democrats refuse to fund DHS, right, over ICE. Didn't they say, Republicans, why don't you just fund this, just fund that? So you back it into where you get exactly what you want. You don't fund it all, and you'll shut down everything in order to not fund ICE, and then you'll blame it on Republicans for not funding these things individually because you don't want to take blame for that. By the way, ICE is going to be working airports, according to President Donald Trump.
That might be why the
Brian Moore says,
X lines are better. All the illegals are staying home.
Wow.
Brian Moore says, abolish the TSA. Trading freedom for security is unpatriotic. Well, I mean, I think we do need some measure of security, Brian.
Like each airport has their own?
That.
Like not federal?
He's just saying no safety.
But what about that?
Well, I will say, we all know that TSA, look, somebody said it well, it's security theater. It's not.
It's a half
It's all a joke, man. My iPad needs to come out. Come on. Like, really?
Shoes off.
My iPad needs to come out. The shoes off thing feels like it's going away a little bit. They're starting to let you walk through with shoes.
Yeah.
Unless you have boots.
Is it totally
boots
gone away?
Are different. Yeah, I didn't have to take my shoes
Well, like
off.
taking your laptop out. It's like what are we doing?
It's just it's all ridiculous.
We should have a TSA agent on.
And yet there's got to be something. There's got to be something. All right, Suzanne Nico says, I feel extremely lied to now about Will's height. LOL. I was a little disappointed. I knew I was somewhere. I have said before, guys, I'm between 6'1 and 6'2. But I thought I was closer to 6'2. Being 6'1 and 3/8 was a bit of a letdown.
I thought you
5/8
said
would have been
6'3".
in line with what I thought.
Did you say 6'3"?
I never said 6'3".
Just on your
never
water
said
polo.
I say
No.
6'3", but I lie. I'm really 6'2 and a half, or like 6'2 and a quarter.
Have you know how they measured me? Is one of these deals you stand on. It's so weird. And you just stand there for a minute, and it gives you your height, weight, fat, percentage, BMI. I'm like, they're just sending electricity through me and getting all this right now? This is crazy.
It's AI.
So we got to get you on that, Dan, find out if you really are. Like, I don't accept anybody's self-declaration anymore. What percentage of people lie? I don't think I was lying. I think I was rounding up slightly. Now, Patrick, I was rounding up. That's not embellishing. I was rounding up.
Sure.
But now I don't feel like I can round up. 6'1 and 3/8, you don't get to round up. So
it has to be
because
half.
it's like a kid. It's like a kid. A kid says, when you say to a kid, how old are you? And they're like, I'm 7.5. Like, nobody cares about the half. Yeah. You're 7 or you're 8. No one cares. You don't walk around going, I'm 6'1.5". The half feels gratuitous.
But you can't say you're 6'1".
So I just round.
Because you're not.
I
You're
can't?
taller. Yeah, you should say 6'2" because you're taller than 6'1". You know what I mean? So if you're going by that metric, you should say 6'2".
Yeah, but he's closer to 6'1 than 6'2".
But it doesn't matter because he's over 6'1". You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not.
Okay.
It's generous.
You can't take
Now,
away.
if I played baseball, I'd round down now. Right? If I played baseball, we'd definitely say 6'1". Do you think, okay, here's the story. Patrick, you can share with us.
5'11".
With the automatic strike zone that is out right now, it's the AI computer strike zone that measures, shoulders to knees and the appropriate width of the plate, right?
Yep, top
With
to bottom.
that, they've had to get an accurate height of all the players. And
Correct.
it's revealed how many players were lying about their heights before, and there's some massive swings. Tell me some of the biggest swings in baseball. Like, how much were people lying about their height?
So Gavin Lux, formerly of the Dodgers, I believe he's now with the Rays, claimed he was 6'2". He is now 5'11".
That's
pretty big drop.
That's brutal.
Pretty big drop.
So a 3-inch inflation. Now, by the way, does he have he has an incentive now to go low, but he doesn't get to, right? Because they're forcing them to get accurate heights.
Yeah. So the measurement is you have to be barefoot, no hats, knees exposed, heels together, back flat against the wall, no slouching, and you have to be measured between 10 a.m. and noon, because your body, over the course of a day, will be taller or shorter.
They should do this for dating
when did you
apps.
go to your physical?
I think I had it in the morning. Yeah, between 10 a.m.
Oh,
and
so
noon,
that's
about
not
right.
going to factor in. Okay. Yeah, I think you're taller in the morning. So
It was an all-day physical, but they did that in the morning.
I was thinking maybe you are closer to 6'2". Maybe it was just it was a daytime thing. It was later in the afternoon. Maybe.
Yeah.
I was trying to give you a little benefit of the doubt.
I might have been 3 or 4 hours. Or 4 hours into the day, so I don't know how
Sure.
quick the shrinkage starts.
We'll give you 6'2".
Someone is asking in the chat, Metaphoric is asking, how can you lie about your height in pro sports? How's that allowed?
Ask Bryce Young.
What do you mean?
Like, how can you just lie? Like, don't you have to be an official size? I don't know.
I think it's submitted by the team, though. There's no league oversight of this.
Right. Well, like in high school,
who has an incentive to tell the truth?
Like, high school basketball teams always inflate by 3 inches. So you come in and you look at the roster. It's
Absolutely.
Everyone's 6'5" and 6'11". Like, no.
Yeah. So we have some stars who got caught, by the way. Alex Bregman of the Cubs.
Ooh.
He went from 6 feet tall 2 years ago, and he's now 5'10".
Come on, Alex.
Bryce
He
Harper,
looks 5'10", though.
Everybody knew.
Yeah.
who was almost the star of the World Baseball Classic, he went from 6'3" to 6'1".
See, that'd be a bummer.
But
2 inches.
the
for
worst
Bryce
one,
Harper.
yeah, the worst one to me is Bo Naylor of the Guardians, who went from 6 feet to 5'9". That's a big difference.
That's tough.
6 feet to 5'9".
Well, that's a big difference because, like, so Harper went from 6'3" to 6'1". So
you can't really tell.
But here's the deal. That's what I was going to say. Like, a 3-inch inflation is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But going from 6 foot to 5'9", is that what it was? 6 foot to 5'9" for Naylor. You jumped classes, right? You didn't just inflate. Like, Bryce Harper didn't drop a class.
Right.
We all know these informal classes in our head, right? 6'3", 6'1", you're in the same class, whatever that is. You're not. You're just tall.
That's
when
so
you say
true.
if you're 6'1" or 6'3", you're tall. If you're over 6'3", right? If you're 6'4", 6'5", what are you? You're like really tall, like really tall. And then if you're like 6'6", you're a basketball player, kind of,
Or freak.
right?
Sure.
In the
You're a
class.
freak.
6'4" and over is tall.
Is 5'9" short?
Yes.
Like a 5'9"
Yeah.
guy is short,
But
right?
it's the country average. Do you know that?
I thought it was like 5'8".
I know. That's the thing.
5'9" is the country average.
But think about it. You're not going to get a woman. Okay?
Be honest.
They play by the games of
Be
sixes,
honest,
right?
guys.
You have to be 6 feet tall, 6 figures. What was the other? Oh, never mind.
No, it's 6'4",
Yeah.
6 figures.
Right. 6 figures. And there was another one. I can't remember.
Like no woman would punish Bryce Harper for going from 6'3" to 6'1".
Nope.
But
Correct.
if Naylor had on his dating profile 6 and showed up at 5'9", he's got a problem on that
Better
date,
have lifts.
right?
He
He's
better
outta
have
here.
lifts in his shoes.
Out of here.
That's tough. I don't understand that. So I was talking to my wife and her friends about this over the weekend. They were dating, and guys would lie about their height all the time, mainly from 6 feet down to like 5'6", 5'7". They would actually be when they said they were 6 feet. Like, how do you not just know you're going to show up and they're going to realize you're completely lying? Like, your personality is going to just wash away the fact that you lied about how tall you were?
Yeah,
That's the goal.
That's what that
At least
dude's
I'm really
telling himself.
funny. Yeah.
That's what he's telling himself.
He's like, I'm funny enough where if she just gives me a chance, she won't care that I'm 4 inches shorter than I said I was.
That's what he's saying. I don't get through the door. If I put 5'7", I don't get through the door. I don't get the ding back on the dating app or
Right.
whatever it is.
Sure.
So I don't even get a place at the plate. But at least by lying, I get a place at the plate for 30 minutes.
It makes
And
women
who
skeptical.
knows how those 30 minutes could go.
Maybe you show up first. You're there for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. You get a seat. You're sitting down, and she doesn't even know. You engage in conversation.
God, that would suck.
And then it's too late.
Way too much
You got
planning.
them entrapped.
Are you not going to stand up when she walks in? You're not going to stand up when she walks in? You're just going to stay seated like a rude guy?
Hey, what's up? I'm down
You do,
here.
you do the Portnoy and you stand on your tippy toes.
See, that's what I feel bad. I've been over 6 feet since I was like 12, and it's never been a problem. It's got to be tough, man. It's got to be a little tough. the
Yeah.
dating game. Now that Will's
Well,
6'1".
I know what it's like. You know,
Do you feel shorter?
I've been lying about it all.
Like,
these
does your
years.
mentality?
I feel shorter. I do.
Your ego and your mentality is a little shorter.
Yeah, 6'2" sounds better than 6'1". 6'1" sounds average.
Keep going 6'2". It doesn't
You
matter.
know,
Except it's not
my
at all.
sons say I'm short.
Well, to them, but by them you are. Your sons are
6'1" is
very tall.
perfectly acceptable.
The 14-year-old's 6'3.5" now.
That's crazy.
Jeez.
Who knows where he's going? Yeah. The 14-year-old went on spring break, by the way. Big time, hanging out with the seniors. Yeah.
Changed him. Changed
Not
man.
sure about the parenting. Went home a legend, by the way.
Did
in
he?
some ways. Went home a legend.
That-
Hanging out with the senior girls. That's big time, right? Huh.
Damn, good for him. What
That's
a
big time.
What a guy.
All right, folks, it's good to be back. It's good to be with you again. We'll be back here again, as you know, same time, same place. We'll see you again tomorrow.